Hey everyone, Arkham here, and yeah, I know it's been a few weeks since I have put up a video. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting to do my gameplay, or I guess multiplayer review, since I already did the campaign review for Halo Infinite, and I've been waiting for several weeks now to do my multiplayer review, specifically for the reason that I was hoping that they 343 would get it together and make some certain changes so that way when I go to review the multiplayer, it'd be from more of a perspective than when it first came out. Well, now we've waited. Let's see, it came out November 15th, and here it is February 1st. And I feel like I've given them plenty of time now to show any changes or make any announcements of things they're working on with a timetable. And yeah, so that way I feel my review is fair. And in addition to that, I wanted to make sure I was waiting past that, initial honeymoon period where everything is amazing because you're just happy to play the game after waiting for 6 years. For several of us, that's how long we've been waiting to play this game. So, yeah, that said, let's just dive into the review. And this isn't going to be as fancy, I'm not going to go crazy with this. It's pretty much just going to be me talking to you. I'm not going to put in a bunch of gameplay clips and stuff like that. So it's not going to be as high on the production value because honestly, at this point, I'm just a little tired, for a lack of better term, beaten down. I mean, I still play the game pretty much weekly, a couple times a week, usually, for a few hours. But yeah, so here are my thoughts on the multiplayer side of Halo Infinite. If you haven't seen my campaign review, you can go check that out. Because I did complete campaign a couple of times on Legendary as well as a Lazo run. So put plenty of time into the campaign and gave that its own review. As far as the multiplayer side, so far I've put 226 hours into the game. So I feel like I have a pretty good impression on what the game has to offer from a Halo fan's perspective of somebody that's been playing it since CE, like some of you. So let's just kind of go down a list and talk about several aspects of the game: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Very much so. So starting off with the good, the positive stuff, the stuff that I think is really great about the game. The gameplay loop, as they call it. So just getting in, like playing a match of the game itself, the gameplay itself is a lot of fun. This is probably the best Halo has felt since Halo 3. I feel pretty confident in saying that because Halo Reach started. I don't know. I mean, I liked Halo Reach. Don't get me wrong, but they started going down that route with like armor abilities, with armor lock and stuff like that, jetpacks, which pretty much negated the whole design of the map and the way the maps used to play in the original trilogy. So I wasn't a big fan of that type of stuff. Um, yeah, so that kind of gimmicky stuff I wasn't a big fan of. And then Halo 4, they started taking influence from Call of Duty, and then Halo 5 had its own influences that I didn't particularly care for, which but Halo 5 was more fun. I felt like it was a step more in the right direction. But yes, Halo Infinite is a blast. It's a lot of fun to play. You get your friends together and you're going to feel like you're having a good time, in my opinion. And I think that's the general consensus amongst the community is that it is a lot of fun to play. So, with that said, yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest positive that I can say about the game is just that it is a ton of fun to play. Just the gameplay itself. I mean, you have the. I love how the equipment is handled, much like Halo 3. That's why I compare it to Halo 3 a lot. It's kind of like a modernized Halo 3, the sequel we never really got from Halo 3. So yeah, in that sense, I really, really, really love the gameplay because I really love Halo 3. For the longest time, Halo 2 is my favorite Halo, but I just from nostalgia standpoint. But now I think if when I go back and play them on Master Chief Collection, Halo 3 is the one that most of my friends and I enjoy playing the most. I think it still holds up better than Halo 2 in a lot of ways, and certainly more than CE in terms of it still feels really good to play. So it just feels like a modernized Halo 3 or the sequel we never got, as I said. So in that sense, I absolutely love the core gameplay of it. I think it's phenomenal, and I'm so happy that they've gone this direction with the equipment, the pickups, the limited uses, etc. And yeah, I just think it plays really well from that point of view. Now, moving on to another positive thing that I really love about the game are the maps so far. I think are some of the best core set of maps in Halo since, once again, Halo 3. Halo Reach had the awful, uninspired feeling maps that were just like taken directly out of campaign parts of campaign levels. And I just didn't, I was not a fan of a lot of Halo Reach's maps. They had a couple. I like Powerhouse, Sword Base was okay. Um, but beyond that, the core set of maps, I was just not a big fan of. I mean, Boardwalk was probably one of the most boring Halo maps I think I've ever played. Just not a fan of that one. But here, I feel like all of these maps are really well thought out on the layout, and I think they play really well with the equipment, with the speed of the game, with the various game types that we have, such as Oddball, Capture the Flag, Slayer, etc. I think it goes really well with those. Um, so yeah, I think I genuinely like just about every one of the maps and have just about nothing but positive things to say for the core set of maps. Favorite standouts, I think Live Fire, for as simple as it is aesthetically, it's not the most pleasant thing to look at. It's not the coolest looking map, so to speak. It's a little bit more of that boring UNSC theme, I guess, if you want to say. Um, Ultimately, it plays really well. I mean, I've thought that since the beta or the flights that I thought it plays really well. I know people aren't a big fan of Behemoth and Ranked, and it recently just got removed from Ranked. But I love that map. I think it's very much the most Halo feeling map in the game so far. Like it just feels the most like a Halo map. Like the aesthetically, gameplay wise, you get those vehicles in there. You get the sand with the Forerunner structures and all of that kind of mixed in. The palm trees. It gives me kind of Zanzibar vibes, Ivory Tower vibes. So I love it for that sense. But completely understand why it was taken out of ranked. I mean, obviously, it has some pretty bad spawns at times, and it is a little bit big for 4v4, so it definitely could use 6v6 as a playlist, which I think would go great because then launch site could get more use, and then maybe just make a couple more maps, and then there you go. You have your 6v6, and then when Forge rolls around, I'm sure that'll help a ton as well, getting more maps created for specifically that size of gameplay. But yeah, just in general, uh, I should clarify though. I like the arena maps, and that includes launch site and Behemoth. I like the arena size maps. I'm not such a big fan of the big team battle maps, just because they feel a little uninspired. I feel like they're okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're bad, but they all feel samey. All three of them are in that kind of canyon setting where it has the evergreen trees and rocks, lots of rocks, stuff like that. I just feel they're all kind of too similar in that. It would have been nice to get a snow map. It would have been nice to get a sand map, a tropical map, island map, that type of stuff. So I mean, there's other biomes that they could go with, a wooded area, a rainforesty area. I mean, I feel like there's several possibilities that you could go down. Volcano. Yeah, I don't know. But that said, yeah, those aren't. I'm not as high on, but they're okay. I'm not complaining too much about them. But yeah, just in general, the maps in the game I think are really solid, and I look forward to the DLC ones, and I hope that we get lots of maps. I'm hoping that with each season we get. I think we need at least 2 maps per season. I feel like that's pretty in line with other games like Call of Duty and stuff like that. They add in at least a couple more multiplayer maps with each season. So yeah, by all means, we need more maps. We need a lot of everything basically, and I'll get into that. But yes, I would like to see more maps, and I hope they're at least the same quality of the ones that are already in the game. So if that's the case, then I think we are on track to have the best map set since Halo 3 and Halo 2, which I thought were amazing in terms of average map quality. That said, maps are good, gameplay is good. Um, Anything else in terms of positives, I could say? I think that kind of covered. Well, the guns. I do like a lot of the guns and the gunplay, the sandbox and whatnot, and the equipment. Like I've talked about, those kind of go under gameplay as well. But I think the equipment and the guns that are in the game right now, the whole sandbox as a whole feels pretty well balanced and a lot of fun to use. I mean, the grappling hook is amazing. Never want a Halo game without a grappling hook in it ever again. I just think it's that fun to use. The repulsor, I would say, is just about on par with it. There's tons of things, fun interactions you can do with the repulsors. So those two especially are easily the most fun equipment. I think they really need to retool the deployment shields, the deployable cover or whatever. In campaign, it serves a good use. In multiplayer, I mean, I find oftentimes I regret using it, and then I'm still tempted to use it, and then yeah, it just has very limited uses. I'm not saying it's useless. You know, there are times with like oddball and stuff on live fire where you can kind of shut off a hallway or a point to block grenades coming through and stuff like that. But it just gets taken down so fast, and it still takes a reasonably long amount of time to deploy itself that it just makes me miss the bubble shield. I love the bubble shield in Halo 3 and the tactical uses of it when you're making a flag run, stuff like that to kind of cut off line of sight, that type of stuff, or give yourself a resting point or a choke point where you kind of play chicken with the opponent on if they challenge you or whatever, what have you. I think that was more fun for gameplay. I could see their reasoning of not wanting to slow down gameplay, which, you know, the bubble shield might have. But yeah, I just don't feel like that right now serves a good enough purpose, especially in Fiesta. I mean, when I get a deployable cover, and I feel like I spawn with that more than anything in Fiesta, it is just the biggest disappointment. So I don't know if you guys feel the same, but yeah, that's where I'm at with the deployable cover. The sensor is okay. It maybe could be a little bit more. I don't know how, but it could serve maybe a little bit more usage in some form or fashion because it's still a little bit disappointing, but not quite as much as the deployable cover. But yes, right now the grapple hook and the repulsor are the ones to beat, and I would like to see those. I would like to see them try to add more. I mean, the thruster is good. The thruster is decent. It's not as cool as the other two, but I'm never like disappointed with the thruster. So that has its purposes and usefulnesses. Um, but yeah. Anyways, I digress. And the guns are fun. The new guns they've added, the shock rifle, the disruptor, the heat wave is a lot of fun. Stuff like that is great. I'd like to see, obviously the Ravager needs to be buffed. The Pulse carbine or whatever, the that one needs to be buffed. Right now, it just feels a little weak and disappointing to use. I don't really ever go out of my way to use it unless I have challenges, which isn't fun. Um, but yeah, both of those I think are the only, well, that and maybe the plasma pistol because it kind of had one of its best uses, taken away from it in terms of EMPing vehicles, taken from it. But yeah, I'd like to see maybe all three of those buffed. I wouldn't really want to see anything nerfed. I know people have talked about the Ravager, but I don't think that needs nerfed. I think maybe it just needs to spawn less. Like it needs to have a longer respawn time. Um, Maybe fewer shots, that type of thing. They can kind of toy with it, but I wouldn't take away the one shot, one melee, or the 3 shots for a perfect kill. That type of stuff I think is perfectly fine. I would just buff kind of the weaker options of the bunch. Beyond that, yeah, I mean, so far the gunplay, the equipment, the gameplay loop, and all that type of stuff, grenades, all that goodness, that all works really well. So that's pretty much my positive positives of the game covered. Now let's kind of get into the bad, and then we'll get into the ugly. So for the bad, we have the bad. I would say big team battle feels a bit too big. I'm not really digging the 12 on 12. I think it's just too much right now. I would prefer 8 versus 8 or even 10 versus 10 as like a compromise, but 12v12 just feels almost too chaotic to where it's hard to strategize with your team because everything's just constantly going. It's just so chaotic to a point where it's hard to get anything going, like I said, and objective game types, especially capture the flag, just feels like such a struggle to really, like I said, organize anything with your team. And that could just be, because you're playing with you're more likely to play with randoms when you're playing such, with so many people. 12v12, it's hard to get 12 people on at once versus, with big team battle, it wasn't unreasonable for me to get 7 other friends together, or at least 6, to where you had the majority of the team type of thing, to where you can organize some pushes and whatnot. So that would be one of my main complaints about Big Team Battle, other than the fact that it's not working and it hasn't been for over a month. But we'll get to that. Um, but yes, in terms of the mode itself, that I want to see improved. Maybe lessen the amount of people in that mode, especially if the rumors are true that they're working for like a certain affinity or working on a big mode for the game, like a who knows, maybe it's like a battle royale or just like Warzone, as in Halo 5's Warzone type of thing. If it's something like that, then yeah, I don't think we really need 12v12 for big team battle. I think you can kind of dial it back. In ideal world, you can kind of have your doubles, your 4v4, even a multi-team 3 versus 3 versus 3 versus 3. You can have your 6v6 like we talked about earlier, and then you could do like an 8v8 or 10v10 if you want to keep more of the chaos in there. That's fine too. Or maybe just make a ranked version of big team battle at some point and have that be the 8v8, so it's a bit easier to organize with your team and know what you're doing for those that are more excited about a competitive big team battle mode. That said, as far as the bad, I wouldn't necessarily qualify this as ugly, but the bad, I also think I really, really do not like the random vehicle spawns in big team battle. Just doesn't, no, I don't like it. I am a big fan, and this is kind of goes back to the Halo 4 aspect where you just have random drop pods of weapons, where the weapons would randomly spawn on the map, and I hated that. It just did not work for me at all. Is just no. Um, and now they've done that with the vehicles where one side would get maybe a mongoose while the other side's getting a ghost, or one side would get 3 vehicles where the other side only gets 1 or 2. Like, it's just not balanced. It's not even equal on each side when it comes to the vehicle drops, so that in itself sucks. And then you have the fact that you don't get like a scorpion or wraith rarely ever, like, and then if they do happen to pop up, it's usually within like the last 20 seconds of the match, like two, maybe it's 5 kills away, when the enemy's 5 kills away, or when they're in the process of capturing the last flag, or they're on their last set of stockpile. You know what I'm talking about? It's always during the last portion of the game when there's not even enough to really go on a fun spree with it. I mean, what I loved about the Scorpion in all the other Halos, Big Team Battle, be it Halo 5, Halo 4, Halo 3, Halo 2, etc., even Halo CE, I loved using the Scorpion on Sidewinder, back when I would do LAN parties with friends, is you get the Scorpion and you go on like an untouchable. You go 20 kills without dying, or 25, you go on a rampage, etc. That's the stuff, if you are good at vehicle play, that's the stuff I want to see in Big Team Battle. I would purposely, as soon as we'd spawn, run my ass off to try to be the first one to the Scorpion, that type of thing, or time out the spawn in my head, which now you don't have to do, thankfully, because they have the little, spawn pads that keep track of that type of stuff. Another positive, aspect of the game. Um, yeah, I would time it out, and so that way I could get back in time for when it spawns again. because I just love vehicle play that much. Vehicle play is the Halo that I really, really love. I love big team battle. I love big team battle heavies more than anything with friends. If I'm playing more of a casual mode where I can just have fun with friends, if we were tired out of ranked and competitive, that's the stuff I look forward to. And right now, that experience is just not there in big team battle. When you have random vehicle spawns that aren't even equal or whatever, it's just, yeah, it's bad. I do not like the random vehicle spawns at all. Maybe that can be one type of game mode in big team battle. In the casual big team battle, it can be one like Slayer, random spawn, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. At least then that there's a good chance that you get other game modes where that's not the case. And it's just classic spawns where they spawn at specific parts on the map. So yeah, I want to see that change. I want classic big team battle back, basically, big team battle heavies and all that stuff. Same when it comes to power weapons. I mean, the random drop pods, whatever. I can deal with the weapons more than I can deal with the vehicles because the vehicles are just so essential to me in big team battle. That's why I go and play it, is to be able to get that vehicle experience nonstop. Um, but in terms of the weapons, I still would like those to be on set spawns too. I'm not a big fan of just the randomness of random drop pods. As cool as the idea is, in theory, I think in execution, it leaves a lot to be desired and it takes away from the experience. So that I definitely would like to see changed. Leave all the randomness for the big, crazy big, many players mode that they're apparently working on, like a battle royale and stuff like that. That's where randomness comes into play. Random weapon spawns and random vehicle spawns. That's where that makes sense for a battle royale mode. And I love battle royale. I love playing Call of Duty Warzone and Apex, and I played a lot of PUBG and all that type of stuff. So yeah, that would be perfectly fine. That would be awesome. Just not don't take over big team battle with it. Don't soil the experience for big team battle fans. And I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. I feel like that's a lot of the community feels that way. But I digress. I also think the maps necessarily aren't great for big team battle vehicle play right now. It's really hard to maneuver on the when you finally do get a scorpion or a wraith. It's so hard to maneuver them around the maps they currently have because none of them have any open space whatsoever. They're all defined lanes and like little trenches that you're trying to drive through. It's so easy to just get blown up in vehicles in this game because of that. You don't have any great lines of sight where you can just get a real hold down with a scorpion, and you have a million ways to get countered by other people when you're in a scorpion, be it people that have great cover because you're in a trench and they can sneak up on you. They have grappling hooks. They have, sniper shots that take you down quickly, or rocket launchers, or disruptors, or shock rifles, or, dynamo grenades. There's a million ways to take out vehicles in this game, I feel like. And a lot of them, I feel like, are made out of paper. Like the Banshee especially needs the buffiest of buffs because that thing gets taken out in like 3 sniper shots. And yeah, that's way too easy to take out a Banshee. When there's already so many counters as it is, it's not even fun to use the Banshee because you get taken out so easily. Wasp is pretty good, at least. I think it's way, way, way better than the Banshee. But yeah, I've just seen all the vehicles taken down fairly quickly if the opposing team knows what they're doing. So it kind of takes the piss out of actually the enjoyment of using vehicles. So I definitely want to see that improved. So that's why I definitely call that bad, is because it's just right now just does not it's not great. It's not good. It's not an ideal experience. Um, Beyond that, other bad stuff. Let's see. Refer to my list here. I'd say the battle pass being so padded is pretty bad. I wouldn't put that under the ugly, but the battle pass was pretty lackluster and disappointing as somebody that bought it on day one as soon as I loaded up the game, because I had no lack of faith that I'd be playing, spending hundreds of hours into this game with the months and years to come. So I bought it right away, as did many of my friends, and then we all kind of started to see that a lot of it is filler content, your double XPs, your challenge swaps, all that garbage, and then you have like shoulders in separate slots as separate pieces of content. Left shoulder here, right shoulder here, that sort of stuff, or emblem here, and then you got an emblem, the same emblem for a vehicle, and so on and so forth. You see it repeated 4 times for 4 different things. I don't know. That stuff is just that's bad. And the fact that it was a reach themed battle pass, and then you have so much of it in the shop, the better, the cooler stuff, basically, also pretty bad. So yeah, that all sucks. That needs to change. Season two's battle pass needs to be way better. Otherwise, I'm not even gonna waste my time or money, I should say, on that. So yeah, they've already announced that they're going to be earnable credits in the next battle pass, so that's a big thumbs up from me. Other games do that. Fortnite, Call of Duty, Apex, Rocket League, they all offer with their battle pass earnable credits to at least earn back what you spent on the battle pass, so you can get the next one. So that way, if you keep playing, you can just keep chaining it and not have to spend it on the battle pass. And they even give you some extra, like $3 or $4 extra in credits that you can, if you complete enough battle passes, you can put that. Not only can you buy the next one, but you can apply those additional earned credits towards shop items, etc. So that's what they need to do. So hopefully they do that and they aren't stingy as hell with it, which is a concern based on how they've handled the credits in the shop and the prices, etc. I have next to no faith at this point, and I say that with I hate that I have to say that because I want to really love Infinite's multiplayer, and there is the core of it is so lovable. But yes, when you go beyond that core, it just gets worse and worse and worse as we go. So yeah. Anyways, Battle Pass bad. This is one of the worst Battle Passes I've ever seen, and I've played all those other games for years, so I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. Um, and then there's the rumors, which I'm not gonna, judge them on rumors, but there's also the idea that they stripped away about 20 tiers of content to then put that in the shop because the original achievements logo or whatever has 120 upon completion of the battle pass, says the number 120, as in you completed 120 tiers. So the fact that this is a 6-month battle pass, which is way too damn long, I completed it. I know, yeah, I put in a crazy amount of grind and time that I enjoyed over the first month of the game, and I completed the battle pass within the first month easily. So, and at that point, there's really not much to strive for, I guess, other than like weekly challenges and stuff like that. But anyways, yeah, that's all there is to really say about the battle pass. Other bad stuff before we get to the ugly. I would say the challenges are pretty bad. I wouldn't put that under the ugly. Challenges, they need completely retooled because there's a lot of crappy challenges in there that are just not fun to do. The whole challenge system to begin with, the things that force you to go out of your way to play a specific way and use weapons that you don't necessarily want to use, that stuff sucks. And the worst ones, probably the worst challenge that exists at the moment, that still exists at the moment, it has for a while, is the one where you got to end opponents' killing streaks. So you got to get killjoys, basically. And some of them were like, get 5 killjoys. Yeah, that's a challenge swap. You're not going to do that. That's stupid. Why put in challenges where you have to put yourself in a compromising position, just run out and die, and hope your teammates run out and die and do the same thing that you're doing, thus giving the opponents the lead? Like that, no. You don't even know when somebody's on a killing spree generally. So you're just hoping that you're hoping that you're losing bad enough so that way you can get one. That is so stupid. Whoever thought of that is just no. Make the opposite of that. The challenge should just be going and earning a certain amount of killing sprees, which does exist as well, like in Fiesta and stuff like that. That is perfectly fine. That I didn't struggle with. Like get 5 killing sprees, I can knock that in a couple, 2 or 3 games, whatever, of Fiesta, especially if you're careful. So yeah, challenges. Get rid of those kind of challenges. Make the challenges actually track, because half the time they don't. They don't track your progress in the game, or they're just flat out incorrect. It'll say complete matches when really you needed to win them. It'll say win them when you needed to complete them. It'll say complete 3 quick plays, but then it also counts other modes as quick play, like team tactical, when it's not quick play. So just open it up. Just make the challenges things that you would normally do in a match. And don't make them so much mode specific because that's bullshit. Especially when you don't have enough playlists to really, narrow down what you're playing. If you had a capture the flag only playlist, fine. Have challenges that are capture the flag, whatever. You're forcing people to play something maybe they don't want to. That sucks, but at least you're not you're not wasting your time playing quick play at the possibility of getting capture the flag or not for several hours. That's ridiculous. That kind of stuff is bad. So stuff like that, oddball specific, all that kind of stuff, you need to lessen that, or you need to start giving out free challenge swaps with every week, reset of weekly challenges to get past that kind of garbage. But yes, they are bad. The challenge system is bad. It throws people off. It makes them change the way they're playing. It makes them go for assists instead of kills, which is stupid. That you're not going to finish off the person that you could finish because you want to complete your challenge, which I can't blame you because, challenges are how you get XP. That's how you progress. That's the only way you progress through the battle pass is completing your challenges. So I don't blame anybody for going for challenges because that's the system they designed. So yeah, challenges, bad. Very, 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 very bad. And having ones in big team battle, which finally they removed the ones like a month and a half past, when they should have, because it's been broken for about a month and a half. They finally removed the big team battle challenges. Why it took this long, no idea. So yeah, that's another bad thing that they need to change. All right, and I think the last bad thing that well, not really. I mean, I guess you could also do weekly rewards are not really ugly, but also bad in the sense that they are oftentimes don't feel worth it. I mean, how many times are we going to see, that same damn emblem of them holding the dog tags, and then one week it's your Spartan, your nameplate or whatever, and then another week it's your, the little thing on your armor, and then another one it's for the vehicle, then another one it's for the weapon. That is padding. That is bullshit. You already have Sketch and other developers saying how bad that is and how pointless that is and what a waste of time that feels like, and it just does not feel rewarding. Well, they have yet to change it because they've still done that type of stuff well past those comments. So, and I have yet to see the weekly rewards really feel great. I mean, there's been a couple that are fine. I mean, I use the splatter backdrop that most people probably didn't even care about at all. The splatter symbol is the one that I used to use, in a couple of the previous Halos. So I'm happy to have at least somewhat of my old icon back because the icons in general are very limited in this game, which is another crappy thing. Um, but yeah, so yeah, in general, the weekly rewards hardly feel worth it. And once you complete the battle pass, those weekly rewards are all you have to look forward to each week, other than new shop content or potential new events and new game modes and unlocks and stuff. Once you're done with the battle pass, those weekly rewards are the one thing you can, look forward to and rely on. But you can't rely on them because right now they have just been pretty lackluster most times. And if it's not for a core that you use, or if it's not for a weapon that you really care about, or you already have a skin for your weapon that's really good. It's not an emblem you care about because you already have an emblem you like. That type of stuff. That's just such a waste. It's a waste of time, and it's a waste. It's why then you're not even going to care about doing any of the challenges for the week because you don't need that XP at all to begin with. So that type of stuff is bad. Get rid of the weekly challenge rewards and replace them with something good. The way you do it, in my opinion, I suggested this on Twitter, is do credits, earn credits each week. You know how you get rid of FOMO? Because the big argument back and forth with the weekly rewards is if you make the weekly rewards great, then you instill FOMO, right? Fear of missing out for those that are not familiar with the term. Then those who are unavailable that week, be it because they're out of town on vacation with family, maybe their system or whatever breaks or whatever, you never know. Then they miss out on that weekly reward. And so far, we have no idea if they're going to repeat weekly rewards, which would suck because then once again, If you already have it, then why even bother? Or what they're going to do with those. So if you miss out on it, then it's gone. Goodbye. Man, it sucks if there was something really good in there that you really wanted. Like if I missed out on the splatter background, I would have been pretty pissed. Even though most people thought that was just a total waste, I actually cared about that. And if I would have missed out on that, I would have been very frustrated not to be able to get that. So that's FOMO. But if you make them crappier rewards like they have been, then you really have no motivation to complete it a lot of the weeks outside of the rare times that it is something you actually want, unless you're a total completionist, which that's fine too. Well, you know how you deal with all of that is just make the reward credits. Whatever you were going to do, put all those weekly rewards, use that for more content for just these bundles, and we'll get to the bundles in the shop. That all needs to be way better anyways. Increase the value in those, put all that stuff in bundles, make it feel like people are getting more, whatever. And you know what you do for weekly rewards? Credits. So if you beat all your challenges for the week, you earn 100 credits, 200 credits, 150, whatever they feel is reasonable and fair to the player. Um, and do that, because then if somebody's constantly playing your game every single week and getting all their challenges done, which takes time, and that means they're spending time playing your game, they are a loyal, consistent player for your game. That is absolutely important, is almost just as important as getting money from them in your shop. So to encourage that, you reward the players that are constantly playing your game with credits. What can they do with credits? Well, there's all the stuff in the shop that they can then spend that on if they save it up. You know, you save up, let's see, if you did 100 credits for a week, that's only $1, and sound like, okay, well, I just spent my time earning $1. That doesn't sound like much, but if you save up that dollar per week, and then a typical battle pass season is supposed to last 3 months, that's roughly what, 4 to 5 weeks a month. So 4 times 3, 12. Now you've just earned $12. You can get the next battle pass if you play every week. Cool. You just earned the next battle pass for free. And I know they've talked about putting credits in the battle passes. That's, as we just discussed a little bit ago, that's cool too. There's no reason not to just give people means of earning credits for playing your game. There should be no concern here, especially with the prices the way they are, and then you add the battle pass price and stuff like that on top of it. There should be no concern about giving players too many credits. If people are constantly and consistently playing your game and are loyal to said game, they should be earning money to be spending on your game. Those credits can't be, it's not like they can be used on anything else. It's not like they're actually getting money to put in their pocket or anything. It's money that they're buying your cosmetics with. So it's something that fuels itself and is healthy for the game and healthy for the players, to make them feel like their time is being actually rewarded with good content. Um, so yes, that would be one way to curb some of the price concerns and frustrations with the shop, is just give people a way to earn credits each week. And you don't have FOMO. If you miss a week, miss 2 weeks, whatever, and you didn't earn $1 of credits, hey, no, whatever. That's not like something you can't go get. You know, you can pay money, or you just go play the other weeks and earn it up that way. Totally fine. No FOMO. And it's always going to have a usefulness. Credits are always going to have a use. Saving money out of your own pocket. So therefore, best case scenario. All right. Anyways, that's challenges. Those are bad. Let's get into the ugly. Yeah, let's get into the ugly now. So for the ugly, yeah, this is stuff like desync. I mean, this thing is brutal on this game. Getting shot what feels like around the corner after you feel like you've been safe, or things not matching up to the server. Things like where you're, as we've seen, where somebody's driving a warthog and they're seemingly driving like a complete moron, and it turns out on their side everything's going fine. They're driving perfectly well, but what you see and what the server sees is something completely different. It's because of desync. Just like I said, getting shot around the corner, or melees not feeling like they connected when you could have sworn I hit that guy and he should have been dead too, and it should have been a trade at the very least, but nope, you died. That's desync. That sucks. Right now, it's a huge problem in the game. They've addressed, like, they've acknowledged. I shouldn't say they've addressed it. They definitely have not addressed it. They've acknowledged the issue of desync, but so far we have heard zero about them actually what their plan of action is going to be, or a timetable of that being solved, if it can even be solved. Stuff like that can possibly never be fixed, so we don't know. So that's why it is absolutely ugly. Um, ugh, man, missing game modes. The fact that they seemingly were planning to take those game modes and make them, hold off on them and use them as special events, like limited time special events. Like Tenrai was going to be Fiesta, which we all witnessed. Then it went away. That was only going to be brought back for Tenrai events and nothing more. So if you wanted to play Fiesta, you had to play during that week, and then boop, there it goes away. We started off with 3 or 4 playlists in this game at launch, and the only reason we got more playlists, which are just, the modes we could already play in the game, but specific playlists for them, the only reason we got more is because people bitched and complained and, used their voices of frustration and disappointment, and just saying that, we want to be able to play what we want. That's something that's a fair request. So yes, in terms of playlists right now and game modes, it is bare bones. I mean, there are other game types that aren't even, that are on the offline mode, that you can play offline, but aren't even included online. They're in the game, but they don't allow us access to them in matchmaking, or custom games with your friends online, or any of that, for whatever reason, other than the fact that it just seems like, much like Fiesta and then eventually Tactical Slayer, was likely going to be held off for the tactical event that's upcoming. And then Attrition was saved for Cyber Showdown. So they want to save these game modes for events in a game that's already bare bones and needs everything it possibly can get. They wanted to save these game modes for limited time events. That is a bad, ugly, ugly, nasty way of going about it. That it's the super negative of a live service game. They think they, instead of just giving us an amazing game, they want to just piece things out like little carrots along the way, to keep us coming back over the next several months. And that's just not what people want from Halo. Halo is a game where you can play all these fun competitive game types. You can play all these fun casual game types and these fun playlists. Play what you want. Play Slayer, play Tactical Slayer, formerly known as SWAT. Play Big Team Battle. Play Capture the Flag, Multi Team, Action Sack, Infection, Breakout. Man, I miss Breakout. That was like my favorite thing in Halo 5 when it first launched, and in the beta, was like the paintball mode, like Breakout, where you had specific, almost like courses, paintball courses, with this elimination game type when your shields were lowered so you could die easier. Man, that mode was a ton of fun. And I haven't heard anything about Breakout. But yeah, there's so many missing game modes. I mean, Assault. How are we starting another game of Halo without Assault? Classic mode, one of the most fun modes in the game. Why is there only one map where it's one flag on launch site? Why is that the case? I mean, Zanzibar and stuff like that were some of the most fun games. Where's Neutral Flag? Where's, other versions of Assault, like Neutral Bomb? Infection, one of the most popular, not custom, but one of the most popular, more casual game types, I should say, for funsies. That's not here. So yeah, and why put Attrition as the Cyber Showdown events game mode and then take it away as soon as the game type, or the event is over? When we need everything we can get into this game, they know that, and yet they still took Attrition away. Yes, they had to go on and say and respond to feedback and say, yes, Attrition will be back. But why is it gone? Why can't it just be there now? It's because the way they've infrastructured this game in itself is ugly. They have tied like challenges to game modes and playlists. They've made it so difficult because of the way they want to do this live service game with all this monetization, forcing challenge swaps and all this ugliness, this corporate cash grab nonsense bullshit that is just infecting the awesomeness that developers have created of this game. I feel bad for the developers that have put in the hard work to make the game as fun as it is when all this other stuff is bogging it down and just infecting it and just putting this venom and nastiness and toxicity into the game, and it's killing it for so many people. It's so fun, but then when you venture beyond just the fun gameplay aspects and you're wondering, where's this fun game mode, where's King of the Hill, where the hell's King of the Hill been, how hard is it to put that in? And yeah, I know I'm not. I don't want to go to the how hard is it, because then you're like, well, I'm not a game developer. I don't know how hard it is, and I don't want to undermine the the difficulties of these things and the skills that they have, etc. But it's coming off of the disappointment of Halo 4, and then the mess, the absolute mess of Halo 5, and the train wreck that was Master Chief Collection when that first launched, and the several years to follow before they actually went back and fixed it. Halo Infinite needed to be a grand slam, knock it out of the park, and they are just stumbling over every little possible thing that they could, other than the core gameplay, which thank God they got that right, because that's not something that's easily changeable like all this other stuff. So you would think, but it's not actually easily changeable according to them. Every little thing that the fans are bringing up in the community with feedback and saying, can you do this? Can you do that? And they just say, well, we don't have the infrastructure. The UI doesn't account for that. So, man, I'm telling you, I think this is way, way, way worse at the very foundation of this game. And we are in for a long, long, long process before a lot of these things get fixed, if at all possible at all. Anyways, game modes. Yes, there needs to be a lot more game modes, a lot more playlists. I want to see doubles in there. I want to see more ranked playlists. I want to see more variety in the game types and the game modes. I guess that's the same thing. And the more playlists, more variety. Give us more ranked, give us more social, give us more casual modes where you can just have fun. Everything's a sweat fest in this damn game. I love competitive play, don't get me wrong. I did make it up to Onyx and all that type of stuff in this game. I had a blast doing it for the most part, but sometimes you just want to have fun with your friends and do crazy modes. By God, this game needs Action Sack, and it needs Forge, and it needs all the crazy fun custom game modes and stuff like that. Custom games, for God's sakes, don't even work right. That in itself is broken and all messed up and screwed up. So is theater and all that type of stuff. I mean, there's just so many issues. Like, where do you even begin? I'm sure they're struggling as it is. Ugly Big Team Battle has been broken since around campaign's launch, like for about a month and a half now. Mid-December, mid to yeah, somewhere around mid-December, it just broke. Like, it's hard to get into games. People are falling out of games. You get glitches where you don't even have the HUD visible. It's like you're playing with the blind skull. Sometimes you can't even jump. All sorts of crazy things. Um, so Big Team Battle is nearly unplayable for a lot of people, and it only seemingly got worse with their update that they put out a week ago or whatever it was. That was supposedly, hopefully, going to fix it. So that's ugly. Yeah, that's just horrible. The fact that that game mode's been broken for so long. But don't worry, guys. They are giving us 4 challenge swaps, or 5, or whatever it is, and 4 or 5 double XPs for our patience and the inconvenience. That is ridiculous. Who gives a shit about double XPs and challenge swaps at this case? At this rate, I have like 25 double XPs sitting there, and I long finished the battle pass a long time ago, and I have like 78 challenge swaps. I don't need any of that crap, and nor does anybody else really need that type of stuff. So, in my opinion, that is a very, very poor apology, make do, make good type of response on their end. They should be putting a free bundle up for people, a free set of armor, that type of stuff. They should. That's the kind of stuff. Free credits. Why are they not giving people 2,000 credits or whatever to as a make good? That is ridiculous. They are. It just feels like they're so. And we are about to get to a store and all of that type of stuff. but it just feels like they are so stingy with what they want to give you in this game. Um, Even when they have screwed up a prime mode of this game, screwing over a prime part of the community, the casual community, the people that want to enjoy big team battle. They have been without their mode for a month and a half. That is not a short amount of time, people. People quit games over way less amount of times of things being broken and never come back. Um, so yeah, the fact that they only are offering a few challenge swaps and double XPs of all things as a make do is just ridiculous. Uh, that said, yes, want to see more game types, more playlists, all that type of stuff. I love multi-team. Get us multi-team. Get us 6v6. Get us doubles. Get us all that type of stuff. Action sack, for the love of God. I can understand, no action sack till Forge, which absolutely sucks, but action sack needs to be in there. Funny, crazy, goofy game modes where people aren't, you know, just sweating their asses off, because even in casual modes, big team battle, no matter what I play, quick play, people are sweating their ass off trying to be, super hardcore, crazy competitive, and that gets tiring after a while, especially from my perspective where I'm ranked Onyx, so I'm facing a certain crowd even in social playlists with skill-based matchmaking, and then I'm teaming up with friends that are silver, gold, platinum, etc. Imagine how they feel. Where, like, one of my friends, he's always talking about how good he does, and he's gold, I believe. He does great when he's playing by himself, but as soon as he plays with us, he's going like 2 and 15 or something. Like, that's not fun. That's Everybody has bad games, but he's constantly getting crushed by people that are way better than him, simply because of the skill-based matchmaking and how sweaty people are in casual play. That sucks. That needs to change. All right, moving on to customization, the next ugliness, and that's kind of tied to the shop, but customization. So the customization in this game is borked beyond belief. It sucks. It is just horrendous. From what we were promised of millions and millions of, or a millions whatever customization options that they told us would be there from launch of all time, and here we are, 2 months, 2.5 months past that. Um, yeah, we have yet to even see hundreds of customizations options. Hell, yeah, anything beyond 100 or anything like that, let alone millions. It just shows how ridiculous this is. And then you have cores, right? So you have armor cores where you can't mix parts. If you get a helmet for one core, you can't use it on another core. If you have a color scheme, a color coding, you can't use it from one core to another. You have to, in some cases, you have to unlock the same, seemingly the same exact looking color scheme multiple times for a single core or for different cores. It's an absolute train wreck. It's a mess. It's disgusting. Visors, you're having to unlock visor colors and visor patterns and stuff like that for different cores separately. Pain for them. A lot of this stuff is pain, and like I said, we'll get to that point. That's kind of the last thing that I'll cover because so many people have heard about it that I just want to tack it in there at the end. But yeah, the customization options is brutal in this game. I mean, if you didn't pay for the battle pass, it took you like 78 tiers till you got your first helmet, and it wasn't even a cool, great helmet. They're putting classic stuff into the store for you to buy. They're taking stuff out of the battle pass for you to have to buy. Things that are reach themed in the battle pass, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of reach themed stuff that should have been in the battle pass is in the store. The way kits work is just horrendous. The fact that if you buy a kit, like all the competitive HCS stuff, if you want to wear the team's colors and whatnot, you can't change anything about it. You can't change the emblem that you're using. You can't change the helmet that you have on there. You can't change any of the armor pieces, anything. I don't even think you can put on an armor effect like the flaming helmet or anything like that without it completely undoing everything in the kit. So you can't use that kit at all if you change anything. You have to be a robot, just a little clone representing that team, that HCS team, or else you can't use any of their stuff. It's stupid. It's completely stupid. And this isn't like dealing with rights, right? It's not like they're dealing with rights of like Back to the Future or Jurassic Park, like Rocket League type stuff, where you can't like customize the stuff very much, other than like maybe the colors. You can't add like a topper to your car or fancy this or that or the other thing. No, this isn't like exclusive rights. These are teams that compete in their, HCS, MLG, whatever the hell you want to call it. And you can't even modify anything about it. Like everyone wants to use the default helmet for them and the default visor. That is just so stupid. $10 and a lot of people bought one of those not knowing that you couldn't change anything about it. What a complete waste. They just got freaking hoodwinked into spending their money on something that they can't even change. And those aren't the only kits. There are some kits like the Reach kits of specific Reach Spartans like June and Emil, Cat, etc., or whatever. And you can't change anything about those either. Color schemes are wrong for some of the Reach people. Things that are just incorrect as well, or just poorly implemented. You have pieces of armor that are off center, like shoulder guards that are off center. The free like spiky thing or the visor that came with the Cyber Showdown events, those are off center, and it's not going to be fixed for months because they have such a backlog of more important things that they need to focus on. They can't take the couple of hours to fix those types of things. That's the dire situation we're in right now, folks. Is that even doing a couple hour fix isn't worth it at this point to fix these types of things so they look better and aren't just poorly implemented, because every minute needs to go to something far more important, which I understand, but it just sucks that we're at this point. Especially, like I said, they needed this to be a grand slam for them, and instead they are just really, really struggling. Other customization irritations and just poor implementations. Like I said, the codings, that's just bullshit. The fact that they aren't cross core. So when you buy a bundle, you could be buying something for one core. So you're paying for an armor, you're paying $3 or $4 for something for one core. You can't use it to any of the other cores. Even when a bundle gives you a coding for that same coding color, whatever, for all three of the current cores, what happens when new cores get introduced? Do those not get the same coding eventually? Do you not get those for free, or are you gonna have to buy those codings again? The Iron Man color scheme that people paid $20 for in that bundle, are those gonna be just for those three cores and then not for any of the new ones that they introduced? There's supposed to be like 8 or so cores that they already have planned to introduce into this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's more. If this is gonna be a 10-year game, what happens then? If you get this sweet new, like, what happens with all this armor, right? That's my whole concern and hesitation with any of this, is that why do I want to spend $50 building up a core that I really love right now, when 2 months from now, next season or the season after that, a new core could introduce that I fall in love with, and I want everything for that core? Well, now I have to start all over. All that money I just spent is now essentially wasted. Yeah, I could use multiple cores, even though right now there's no way to randomize which core is selected for each game. That's one thing that they need to add. Would be a nice quality of life, is just to have your core randomized in between games, not the stuff that's on the core, but like in Rocket League, right? Or not Rocket League, but in Call of Duty Warzone, you can have it randomized. You can set certain favorites, so it randomizes between those operators. We need to have something like that here, where you can have it set favorite cores, your favorite core layouts, and it randomizes between games, so you're not having to go. Then at least building up multiple cores makes sense, right? It sucks that you have to pay for the individual shit for each one, but then it at least makes sense, because then you can dress them all up however the hell you want and have them all represented in your games. Um, so yeah, the whole thing is completely screwed up, and I have a bad feeling that stuff like coatings being specific to a certain core and visors, which are also like, you can make arguments for certain armor pieces, even though the bots are doing it, so the bots can get away with it. Bots can cross core stuff all the hell they want. They do it and it looks perfectly fine, so I don't see what the issues are. Same with attachments. If you get the cool cat ears that people love, you can only use those on the Mark 7 core. So if you want the samurai thing, the Uri with the cat ears, or the Mark 5, or any of the future other cores, Can't use the cat ears that you paid for unless they put it out once again in a new bundle specifically for that core. And that's why they're doing it, folks. It's because they want you to have to spend money on all of these things. It's not because it was undoable for them, that it was impossible for them to make coatings cross core or visors cross core or pieces of armor cross core. It's because they want you to have to buy these things for all the different things. So if you love the color blue and red together, let's say, and you get this cool coating, well, you buy it for the Mark V. If you want it for the Mark 7 as well, you got to buy it again. If you want it for the Uri, you got to buy it again. If you want it for Futures Cores X, Y, and Z, buy them for each of those separate ones. That's why they're doing it. That is the only explainable reason why the visors of all things would work the way they are, is because they want you to have to buy these things multiple times over. Buying a color in itself isn't good enough. The fact that you are buying a color, think of that. That's ridiculous that you have to buy a color. That it's not even enough to just have to spend your money on a color of all things. It's that you have to spend your money on that color multiple times in a row. You can't just buy a cool coating and apply it to all your weapons, all your armors. No, you have to buy it for each individual set of armor, each individual weapon, so on and so forth. That is why it's in the ugly column, because the customization is so egregious and disgustingly implemented, that is just so money grubbing and ridiculous. It is absolutely mind boggling. It people have been pissed off since launch, and for good reason. It's because the the whole implementation of the customization is very important to people in Halo. I know some people downplay it and say, you're just dressing up your Spartan. Who gives a shit? It's just all about the gameplay. You hardly see yourself. Sure, fine, good point there at the end, especially. And that should be even more why are we paying so much if you can't even see yourself, right? Why are these prices so ridiculous? If it's not like I'll get to all that. I'm getting ahead of myself. But the point is, customization has been a staple of Halo for several iterations now. So why is it so poorly done? Why are they trying to price gouge us and nickel and dime us? That is disgusting. If they wanted to charge for coatings instead of let us just customize our own colors, coatings should not be color schemes. Coatings should be armor finishes, like metallic, like plastic, two-tone, like the tones that change color based on the lighting and stuff like that. It should be patterns, camos, checkers, that kind of cool stuff. All sorts of fractals and yada yada yada, little fun little stars and polka dot and all that kind of crazy stuff. Whatever. That should be what they are selling. That should be the coatings that they are selling. They should not be selling us color schemes. Almost all of the color coatings so far have looked like dog shit. And that is not to be like super mean or insulting. It's just the fact that they have. They have not looked good. Black and blue and black and brown and various colors of grays and browns and just muddied down crap does not look good. And yet they're still charging a premium for these things. Multiple times over, mind you. So yes, the customization in this game sucks. It is awful. It is the worst I have ever seen. And it is horrible. The fact that Valorant and some other games do this and charge outrageous prices for these things is not an excuse. Just because other games do it doesn't mean it's an excuse here. And this is going to segue into the shop, because that's the last kind of main ugly thing, I guess, that we'll get into, outside of melee's just flat out broken, and the collision and with enemy glitch and stuff like that is ugly and nasty, and that needs to be fixed. So yeah, melee sucks in this game and it needs to get fixed. That's incredibly frustrating. So I'll throw that in there real quick. But yes, so let's get into the shop and that aspect. So the prices in this game are ridiculous. The way they have priced things has been so egregious and horrible just keep in mind all the things that I just said, right? About the customization, how it works and the different cores, and how you have to buy the same color scheme for multiple things. Each weapon has its own coding, and when you buy a bundle, it may come with a coding for one weapon, like the BR, but none of the other doesn't come with the same thing for all the other ones, or all when you get a vehicle coding, doesn't come with all the vehicles, armor, etc., etc. Keep that in mind because that's exactly what happens in these bundles is you are likely buying for one core. You are likely buying something for one weapon. You are buying something for one vehicle. And sometimes it comes with multiple, sometimes it comes with like several of them, but not all of them, which is even more why couldn't they just include the last couple of vehicles in the vehicle bundle, that type of stuff. But it's because it's all nickel and diming garbage. And I waited quite a while to make this video because I wanted to see what they would do. I wanted to see, they said over the holidays, during their holiday stream, that they were going to be looking at the store, that they heard our feedback, and that they were going to address things. They were going to try different things. And since then, they've said they're going to try something new each week, and season one is basically for the remainder of season one. Each week is going to be kind of a trial and error of certain ways to go about the shop. When I heard this, I was relieved. I said thank you. I make sure to always thank them for taking a look at these things that the fans have been vocal about. They don't have to do that, and their game can suffer for it, but they don't have to do that. Not everybody does it. So I appreciate when they do, when they're willing to take a look at these things and try something else. So I was very appreciative when I heard that. But the proof is in the pudding, right? You can say something a million times. You can say you're going to fix things. You can say you're going to make this, that, and the other thing better and improve it. But until we actually see those results, it doesn't matter. So that's why I wanted to wait. I saw all the other Halo YouTubers, and this is not a knock on them. They're just reporting the news and all that type of stuff. That's what their content is doing. That's perfectly cool and fine, and I appreciate it and I watch it. But they followed all along and gave them praise for the things that they were saying they were going to do, but not the things that they're actually doing quite yet. So I wanted to see what the first 3 weeks or so of these changes were going to look like. And now I believe we are 3 weeks in, and yeah, it's not great. These changes so far have not been wonderful. The first week they lowered the weekly bundles down from like 2,000 credits down to like 1,200, I think, which sounds great. And then the 1,500 one went down to about 1,000, and these things sound great, but then you start to realize that the amount of content you're getting in these is less. So for them to lower the price of something, they're also stripping away content. That is not okay. That is not solving anything. All it's doing is giving you the appearance, the perception of making things cheaper. But what you're really doing is just taking that content out, some of the content out, to then sell separately. So when it all is said and done, to get the same amount of content that was in the bundle to begin with, you're going to now have to buy multiple bundles to get that content. And you are going to be paying the same amounts, if not slightly even more in some cases, I'd imagine. Using some specific examples, they did the Cyber Showdown, the Perfect Ascension bundle, which was the effect. It was going to be like when you slide. It had one of those effects when you slide, the footsteps type of thing. And then it also had like forearm effects, like we seen with the fire, like the Judgment Flame, as well as the halo around your head. Give me 1 second while I get this light back going. Ta-da. All right. But yeah, anyways, so they separated that out. They took out the halo, they took out the arm stuff, and they still kept the rest of the Perfect Ascension bundle in place. And they added, I think, an emblem to it, which might have been the plan all along to begin with. and they made that 800 credits, so $8. So you still have to buy a $10 worth of credits, so 1,000 credits to even purchase that. So at minimum, you're looking at a $10 purchase for that content, but you don't even get all the content that was originally planned for it. The thing like the Halo, I want that Halo. I have yet to buy any bundles, but I was going to consider that Halo if it was a reasonable price. But the fact that they separated that out and the forearm effect into a to be determined future bundle, and they still sold the rest of it with an emblem at 800 credits, how much do you think they're going to sell that the Halo and the forearm effect for, and whatever else they piece it with? There's no way that's coming in at like 500 credits. No way. No way. So you're probably looking at least 700 if we're lucky, and that's still not even a good deal in my opinion, but 700 credits if we're lucky, even for just the Halo and the arm, and I have to do that literally every time I mention them for some reason. Um, we're looking at least 700 just for those, not counting anything else that they decide to tack in there to increase the value. So let's just say 700. You're still looking at a $15 bundle. So it's what it likely would have been to start, if not the $20 one. So it's it's all smoke and mirrors. They sold a helmet, the Firefall helmets, separately by itself. We don't know what the bundle would have cost. Likely $20, maybe 15 originally. But that's before the supposed price decreases. So if they're selling the helmet alone for $7, 700 credits, and you have to at least pay 10 to get the amount of credits for that helmet. So really it costs $10, but let's just say you're somebody to buy a bunch of credits anyways. So it's costing you 700 of your credits. That's just for the helmets. If you do want the chest piece in addition to that, so let's say you wanted the helmet, you wanted the chest piece, but you didn't really care for the shoulders, you didn't want the knees or whatever that might come with it, or any of the additional extra stuff that might be tacked onto there, you who knows what that chess piece is going to be bundled into, and you might be roped into paying another 700. So we're back at $14 again. You see how this can add up? Let's say you did want the entire set for whatever reason. It may cost you more than $20 because it might be in separate bundles to begin with. Or let's say they piece them all out individually and it takes us more than the price of the bundle. That's not an improvement. Yes, if it's an improvement if all you wanted is the helmet, right? I get it. Sometimes all you want is the helmet from a pack in a $20 pack, like the Zvezda, something like that, or the Anubis helmets. Maybe you only wanted the helmets and not the rest of the armor. I get that. $7 or 700 credits is saving you more than the 2,000 credit price of entry for a bunch of stuff that you may not have wanted. That is an improvement to a degree, yes. But it's not a compromise really on their end. You have to understand that because they're still going to get the same amount of money from you, or they're still going to get the same amount of money, if not more, for all the same amount of pieces. They're just giving you an option to just buy the helmet for what in my opinion, is still too much. 700 is not a good price for just the helmet. No attachments. Not a single attachment comes with that helmet. You want those attachments? Guess what? Another bundle. Do you want the shoulders or the chest piece or whatever else might come with that armor? Or and the coating that was scheduled for that? Different bundles. So that doesn't really help anything. These are all superficial changes. They've sold now a weapon coating for just the battle rifle for 300 credits. So $3 for one weapon coating, the cranial lime or whatever it was, for 300 credits, and all it is one color scheme for the battle rifle. Just the battle rifle. They couldn't even do it for all weapons, just the battle rifle. How much would it have hurt them to have that be 300 credits for that color scheme for all of it? 300 credits for a color scheme to begin with is a little silly. You're paying $3 for a color, but okay, that's fine. At least it has like a pattern on it and it's not just colors. It's not just black and green, right? It's an actual like, kind of diamond pattern to it. So, okay, that's fine. It's better in my opinion because of that. So, but just the battle rifle? Why just the battle rifle? That itself, because they're going to take that same cranial lime pattern and sell it for the assault rifle eventually for 300, let's say, and for the pistol down the line for 300. Do you see why this is still a very, very egregious, poorly designed system for us? This is not user friendly. This is not for the player. This is not player first as they said it would be originally. This is absolutely 100% to get as much money as possible, which I understand they're a business. They got servers to pay for, they have devs to pay for, even though I highly doubt the devs are the ones that are directly profiting from this. This is the corporate people that get these types of profits. The devs might get like a bonus at the end of the year if their game does well enough. That's perfectly normal for something like that to happen, but it's not often the devs are going to be the ones to get the profits of the things in the store. They're not, they don't, 343 does not own themselves. They are a Microsoft company. So yeah, it's not like Sketch, the community manager of all people, is going to, if more people buy Cranial Lime bundles, is going to walk away with more money in his pocket that week. You get what I'm saying? I highly doubt that is the case. And the servers, they've always had to pay for servers. Why now are the servers so expensive that they need to make billions instead of just the original $60 for the price of the game or Xbox Live or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, they also sold campaign too for the full $60, or people got it from Game Pass, which itself is a subscription service that costs money over time. So don't be fooled into thinking that they need this, else they will not survive and this game will die. It'll lose its support. They won't be able to make any DLC. No, they've always been able to do that without making the just truckloads, landfills full of cash that they're looking for here. They saw Fortnite make billions off of microtransactions, and they want in. It's greed. It is not necessity. It is greed. We are not talking about people getting dinner put on their table or not based on these prices. We are talking about people making several hundreds of million per year into their own pocket versus, you know 40. We're talking about millionaires and billionaires here, folks. We're not talking about fucking you people like you and me that are making, you know less than six figures a year and their ability to survive, etc. That's just not the reality of the situation. That said, there's also the reality that this stuff amounts to way more money and profits than you're giving it credit for. Like something, a skin, right? Those cat ears being $10, those things did not make a lot to make. I mean, those did not take a lot to make. Whoever made those put in the several hours or whatever it took. Let's just a dozen hours or so to make that, if we're being generous. And he got paid. Somebody got paid probably like $20 an hour, if that, to make those, right? Because the people that are usually making these types of things, contractors or whoever, they are not the ones making these big figure salaries per year. They're making average wages like anybody else. Just look it up. I mean, they hire people. Look it up. You can find their types of salaries yourself. And so let's just say you got, it cost $100 or $200 for that person to make that. They are then, think of all the $10 bundles they made off of those things, and that's money directly back to them. That's profit. That's pure profit to Microsoft from these things. Of, let's say, 100,000, let's just say 100,000 people bought those things. 100,000. I can't think right now. I'm already in my rant mode, but that's 100,000 times 10, the $10 to buy that. 100,000 is $1,000,000. Like, I'm not saying they made $1,000,000, but even if they made even close, even if they made half of that, $500,000, that is one bundle. It is one bundle. They have new bundles every day. They have new bundles every week. And it's just going to continue. Do you understand that? Like, this game is not going to be suffering for servers and stuff like that. The servers they have don't even work well with the desync and all the stuff. We've already seen that. So let's not pretend like it needs the prices that it's at. You can cut everything in half price wise as is currently, even after the price changes to weekly stuff, and they are still going to have more money than they even know what to do with. Do you understand that? So, yes, I don't want to hear that argument because that's just not reality. They can sell each coating for $1, 99 cents, and they're still going to walk away with tons of money. And you also have to count for the people that will be more willing to buy stuff because of the cheaper prices, and the more people that are going to buy it that are going to help make up for the lower amount per sale. If you change something from $10 to $5 or $5 to 250, you're going to get more and more people that start finding that acceptable and buy in, right? Okay? Does that make sense? I know they make a crap ton off of whales, but if somebody looks at something and says $10, I'd like to, but it's just not worth it. Like I've done with a lot of the bundles so far, I'm like, just no, just not worth it to me. The value. If it was half that, probably I'd buy it. But yeah, so there's gonna be plenty of people that do that and make up for, some of the losses of actual money per purchase. You're gonna get more people buying. So that in itself is a factor here. So there's no reason they can't lower the prices of these things. But yes, the ugliness is just the fact that the between the customization options and the monetization, when you combine those things, it is just it is just rough. It is in a really, really bad place, and that is why people are talking about it every single week when new bundles go up. It's a talking point every single week, and I know certain people are tired of hearing it, and I get it. The people that are just positive, or they don't care about shop prices, or they have a ton of money. Let's be honest. Some content creators for the Halo community, if they're getting hundreds of thousands of views on their content, they already are making a lot of money off of this series to begin with, the content they make around the series, that it's no skin off their back if they have to put that money towards, some shop bundles that are overpriced, because they already, make that money to put towards it anyways. Or their viewers, when they're streaming, will donate that money anyways for them to buy it. So that's why certain content creators that seem super unbothered by this, that's why they're unbothered by it, because they essentially get paid around this game to begin with, so they're happy to throw that money at it. But yeah, and I'm pretty sure some of them got credits to begin with just for free, just for funsies. But that doesn't matter. Good for them. Cool. I'm never gonna be upset at people getting. We should all be getting more for our, more bang for our buck in general. Like these bundles need to increase the amount of stuff they're offering, and they need to decrease in what they're charging. They do not need to decrease the price, but also decrease the content. That does nobody any good. Taking a bundle and piecing it out into separate different bundles and charging less for each bundle does not really help much of anybody. It's all superficial. It's not substantial. It's not substantially beneficial towards us. It is only superficial. It's them changing things around to see what little they can do, like make the littlest amount of impact on what they're doing, their bottom line, their profits, and change it around to give the perception that it's actually improved so that fans will be happier. That is what's happening here. They're playing games with it. They're moving things around. It's the difference of somebody asking you to pay $1 for something and somebody asking to pay 4 quarters for something. You might think it's all psychological and it's there for a reason, because people fall for this stuff all the time. Why do you think things are credits instead of just being able to pay dollars? If they put something up there that said $20, if they put a bundle and it had the price tag of $20, there's a lot less people that would fall for that than the 2,000 credits. There's a reason why like arcades and stuff switch to a credit system instead of a coin system, is for that very reason, because when you switch to credits, you lose the value of those credits. Those credits do not sync up 1-to-1 with the value that you hold of $1. If somebody asks you to pay $10 for something versus 1,000 credits, $10, you'd be like, oh no, that's not worth $10. That's ridiculous. And you see 1,000 credits, there's a lot of people that would fall for that and just say, oh, it's just 1,000 credits. Who cares? Because the value is just different in your brain. It's just how they fool you. Another trick that they do is making everything, and this is pointed out on Reddit, is making all the all the bundles just under or just over the amount of credits that you can purchase. So rather than make things all 500 credits, or I think what I don't remember all the bundles. If it's like a $1, $5, whatever. Let's say $5 the minimum. I think that might be the case. So instead of making everything 500 credits, 1,000 credits, 1,500 credits, 2,000 credits. So that way, no matter what, you're kind of in line with buying a very specific credit bundle. You are forced to always have some extra or need just a little bit more. So if something is 800 credits, you're forced to buy the $1,000 or $1,000, Jesus, the 1,000 credit bundle for $10. And then, thus, after you buy what you buy, you're left with 200 credits over. So that way, you're more likely to be left with a feeling like, oh, I got to purchase more so those $2 don't go to waste. That's how they get you. The same reason why Microsoft points used to be the way Microsoft points were, and you'd always have Microsoft points left, is because that's how they fooled people. It's all psychological. They have paid professionals to do this to manipulate people. It's the same reason why when you go to the grocery store, the lighting of the grocery store is very specific to encourage you to buy things. The music they play is to encourage you to buy things. All of that stuff is done for a reason. The way things are placed, where they are placed in the store, all of that is absolutely calculated for a fact. This is not just tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. This is how it's run. Look it up. This is what they do. There's paid professionals that advisors that this is their job, and they did this with Halo Infinite. There is records of them hiring somebody to, like, a psychological analyst that knows how to do this, to manipulate players into encouraging them to be more likely to purchase things and spend their money. That is what they're doing. So, with all that said, continue the fight for things to be lowered in price and more value to be added, because right now, these past 3 weeks of things being changed for the better or improved, or them trying different things, all they've tried so far is to see what they can get away with minimal impact on their end, and basically fooling us into thinking that it's better. Some people have fallen for it. Some people fell for it and then later realized, came to a realization that it's inaccurate, and then they realize, okay, this really hasn't changed for the better. And some people have just steadily saying, nope, still not been improved. That's kind of where I've been. It's every week is just, and I'm respectful about it on Twitter. And I'll tag Jerry Hook and Sketch, and I'll say, disappointed this week for XYZ. I think this pack is, not a good deal for this reason, and blah, blah, blah. Hope to see this improved. Thank you. Have a great day. Because I'm not out here to attack these guys. A lot of these guys, it's not their fault. They're just the messenger. I get it. They're handcuffed by other people in the company, higher ups, and so on and so forth, that ultimately make these decisions. But right now, we're in that stage where they're just purposely just trying to give as little as possible, just barely inching towards us, but passing off like they really met us in the middle, just so people will kind of lay off of it and just be happy and just buy things and not give them such flack for it. Because ideally, in a perfect world, they want people to be happily buying things, not reluctantly, begrudgingly buying things. They don't want that sort of bad vibes on their game and bad feedback, and they don't want to be known for that either. They can't really afford to. This has to be a win for them. Otherwise, you have to think at some point they're out the door, and 343 is no longer going to be the ones making Halo. So if they can't make it work and make both the fans happy and the executives happy, then strike three, you're out. So strike four, maybe. I don't know. But that's where we're at. So absolutely, this game is not in a great place right now. It, at its core, just the gameplay is fantastic. Everything beyond the gameplay is needs so much work, and I have no idea what the timetable is going to be by the time we finally get it, because I have serious concerns that we will see this improvement for season two, like they keep alluding to. I would not be surprised if more things get delayed, more things get pushed back, and season two isn't the home run that we're all hoping it will be, especially after so many months of waiting by that point. Um, just based on how much seems to be broken, how many things seem to be not easily fixable that should be seemingly easily fixable, you would think, like playlist and swapping things around like that. Even the shop, like as simple as thing as just making the shop better, giving us bundles that are actually good deals while also being able to go into said bundle and purchase single items from the bundle and seeing the price difference in real time based on if I just want the helmet in this bundle, I should be able to see, okay, it's 300 credits if I just get the helmet, or if I just get the helmet and chest piece, now it's up to 600 credits or whatever. Or if I get the bundle, I'll be saving essentially 25% off what all these items would cost if I bought them individually. That is essential in making it seem like a good deal. But if you're going to make the items, cost so much, like 700 for just the helmet, no attachments or anything, that's not helping anybody out. That's no favor to us, in my opinion. Outside of the the people that just wanted the helmet, which I know some do. But, anyways, not gonna just rehash all that. But we are in a bad place right now with the game where it's bare bones content. It has FOMO. It has so many things that it said it wouldn't have. It doesn't have so many things that it said it would have. Customization is handled very poorly. Monetization is really gross. Um, the value of a lot of things that you are being asked to pay for or given the option to pay for is really bad. I mean, the game is in such a bad state right now with Big Team Battle broken, the Battle Pass being fairly padded and limited, weekly rewards being pretty poor, the challenge system being poor, desync, melee, performance issues on PC, all these sorts of issues, armor not fitting right, and just the like I said, how bad the customization is implemented, lacking game modes, the lacking playlists, the limited content all around, the cheating, the hacking. That's another really bad subject of the game. And you combine all of that into one, and then the shop and how that's all been handled. You combine that all into like you look at it all together, they should not be charging top dollar for anything right now because the game is not in a state to be, it's not valuable enough, it's not in a great state to be like, hey, we have this AAA game that's amazing with all this amazing content for you to come play for free. They don't have that right now. They have a very bare bones experience that's in a lot of ways very poor and anti-player, and that's free, that's great, but it's not a very good offering. So why are they trying to charge top dollar things that Fortnite's charging for, top prices, for very little? Just think of it like that. I mean, they don't deserve to be charging that right now. A couple of years down the line, when the free game that they're offering has so much content, and you got Forge and you got all this other stuff, and there's just so much content, and it's just overflowing with content, and things are streamlined and polished and amazing. Then, if they want to start charging a little more, then hey, I can understand it at that point. But yeah, it's in such a poor state, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, that they should not be trying to get away with, charging top dollar market value prices for things that are very not that great to begin with. That in itself is another argument against the way they've approached this very aggressively at the start. And then yeah, one other thing about the cosmetics and monetizing them the same amount as like a Fortnite. Fortnite is using properties that are not theirs. They're getting third party properties like Star Wars and DC superheroes and Marvel superheroes and fighting game characters and all sorts of this crazy stuff, the Matrix and so on. And, they're like bringing in like a million different franchises like Super Smash Brothers, right? They're bringing all these things in. So they got to pay for that. That is not something Halo is doing. This is all just stuff that they're making. So they're not having to pay for these crazy licensing fees or anything like that. So they shouldn't be charging as much as Fortnite for that alone. And then the other thing that people brought up before, like I said, you don't really get to see your stuff very much. In Fortnite, it's third person, right? So if you purchase Darth Vader and you run around as Darth Vader or whatever the hell, Batman or whatever, the Joker, etc., Thanos, if you're running around as these things, you get to appreciate and see the character that you paid for rather than just everybody else. So that in itself makes those things, in my opinion, worth more. So if you get to run around and be Spider-Man and see that and appreciate that, that is worth more than a first-person shooter where you see your armor for 5 seconds. So keep that in mind too when they're charging and you're like, well, Fortnite does it. Blah, blah. It's like Fortnite's completely different. It's apples and oranges in a lot of ways. So Halo should not be even close to their asking price for the game. So there's that. I mean, I could go on and on about this stuff, but yeah, all in all, if I'm giving a rating to Halo Infinite multiplayer, now that I've put 200 over 200 hours into over 225 hours into multiplayer, I've played all the events to completion, the battle pass, done the weekly challenges time and time again, played every map several times over, game modes, etc. And all that. And the honeymoon has long worn off. And don't get me wrong, I still have fun playing the game. I'm still gonna play it, weekly as for funsies or if new things pop up that intrigue me. But overall, giving it a rating, and this is why I wanted to hold off for so long, because I really wanted to be able to say more positives about it beyond just the core gameplay aspects, but they haven't really changed much. And the things that they have changed, they've kind of, pussyfooted around and even insulted, the player base at certain cases when it comes to addressing some of the issues and mocked the people for their feedback to a degree, even though they always ask for it. They've kind of made fun of certain opinions and kind of take little jabs and cheap shots at people that are asking for a better value and all that type of stuff. But anyways, so overall, I'm giving the multiplayer as it stands a 6 out of 10, and I think it has a lot of room for improvement. Um, and I think this could be the best Halo game of all time. They really just got to listen to the players that love this franchise. If I'm ever giving feedback about the shop or the gameplay or whatever, it doesn't matter. From the littlest things to the biggest things, it's out of love. And I feel like a lot of other people are doing it out of love as well. A lot of people, yeah, there's certain people out there that just love to hate on things. But when you go onto like Reddit, and yeah, there's assholes on Reddit that just like to be jerks. But there's also a lot of good feedback on there. There's good feedback on Twitter. There's good feedback from the content creators like Hidden Xperia, Sean W, Mint Blitz, etc., that really want to see this game thrive and are huge, huge, huge fans of the series as well, just like you and me. And there's great feedback on their content and their replies on their YouTube videos, on their Twitter. There's great feedback from the replies on there. If there's a lot of negativity and criticism, it's for a reason because this game needs a shit ton of work. And yeah, people want to just have the most amazing Halo experience, and they see the foundation, the core gameplay is the best it's been in a long ass time since Halo 3 easily. And it's just everything surrounding it is really, 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 really bad. And it needs a lot of love and it's going to take some time. So, yeah, if the developers want to play games and, kind of be snippy back because they get some people that are jerks to them, which I don't approve of, don't approve of being assholes to them by any means. But if they want to be kind of like, kind of tongue in cheek, make light of some of these situations, or they don't want to give um, adequate, like kind of make good things, like I said about the big team battle being broken for so long, and they can't throw us a bone and give us, $10 or $20 worth of credits to spend in the shop to at least get some cool stuff for the inconvenience. And instead, they just want to give us little shit things that don't really matter, like challenge swaps and double XP. That just feels like they don't really care in that case. Feels like they're very unwilling to work with us in circumstances. And when it comes to the shop and saying that they're making these changes and trying new things, it just, the reason why they're going to be trying new things each week is because they just don't want, they say that it's because they want to find out what works best for us and what we're happy with. We've already made it clear what we want. We want bundles that we can also purchase single items out of that they said they're not capable of doing right now. We said we want cheaper bundles for a reason. Not, it doesn't mean make less content in them and then make them cheaper because of that. It means take what you already had and make them cheaper. Like take the same amount of content, make it cheaper, add more content to them to add more value. Doing both would be fantastic, but at least one or the other. So double, triple the amount of content that you're putting in bundles to make it more worth the amount of money you're asking for, or at least have them, or in some cases 60 or 70% cheaper because you're asking way too much for what little you're offering. A singular weapon coating for one weapon should not be $3. Unless it's like glowing and doing all sorts of cool animation shit like you get some on some of the Call of Duty weapons and stuff like that, things that are actually seem like they were a lot of time was put into them and they're badass looking and you can see them on your screen and they adapt and they change and all sorts of cool ass shit. And they have cool like fire that's like tracer fire and cool effects and that stuff. Yeah, I can understand why you'd ask for a little bit more money for that, but slapping on some green and blue here on a weapon that took you a few minutes to create, no, absolutely not. That's bullshit. So that's where I'm at with it. The game needs a lot of work, has a lot of potential, but it needs a lot of work, and I have serious concerns that they really set themselves up for a system that they can't make the changes that they want and that people are demanding because their infrastructure, their engine, or whatever their technology just can't make it work, and we could be looking at years before this game, much like Master Chief Collection, works the way people want it to, and rightfully so. That said, I know this is a long ass video, but there's a lot to cover, honestly. And I know some people can wrap this all up in like 5 to 10 minutes, but I'm very passionate about this game, and as are you. And I'm just shooting from the hip here. I don't have a script. I'm just talking to you guys um, about all the things that I feel about this game, and it's been a roller coaster. It's like every time I get a little more hope in certain things improving, other things they go bad. Or things like with the shop, they say they're going to improve. I look on Tuesday with excitement. I have 6,800 credits that I've had for like a month and a little over a month because I had like a $25 gift card or whatever from PayPal that I had to spend in like 3 days or whatever. So I'm like, hell, I'll do it while I have the 10% discount on on stuff while I had the Game Pass since for when I played through campaign, but then immediately canceled it once I was done playing campaign and doing all the content that I wanted to do there until co-op is added. So I bought the credits reluctantly because I don't want to support them right now until they actually get things together, and then I'd be happy to support them and throw as much money as I possibly can muster at them to support a game I absolutely love, and I feel like I'm being delivered the content and they care about me as a player beyond just a talking wallet right now. Um, until we get to that point, didn't really want to spend any money on the game, but I'll take essentially the credits at half their cost essentially. So I did that, but I have yet to spend any of those 6,800 credits. They've just been sitting there for over a month now because they do not offer anything that I feel is actually worth it so far. There's been a couple of bundles that have been close, but just really they are still, I feel like, pretty far off and a lot of the things they're asking for. But anyway, 6 out of 10 for the multiplayer. Campaign was much, much better in terms of knocking it out of the park, which is great. So I highly recommend the campaign. Multiplayer, it's still a fun game to play, but this is not the amazing Halo experience that we deserve as fans that have waited for 6 years. And um, yeah, I mean, this has been a very poorly run live service game so far in the 2.5 months that it's been out. So well, more than 2 months, 2.5 months, or whatever. But regardless, so anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know what you think down below, what you rate the multiplayer, and what your thoughts on all these things that I covered. Please share the content wherever you can and pass it along because it's not like this channel's flying by in terms of subscribers or anything, but it's totally fine. Um, love you guys, and thanks for checking out the content. And hopefully, this game turns it around. Appreciate it. Take care.